Last NBA episode, I promise. We're back. Another sort of emergency podcast, although not really. This is not, these trades today are not as big as what we've seen in earlier this week with the De'Aaron Fox, Zach LaVine, Luka, Anthony Davis whole fiasco going on. This is still pretty important though, and today is the trade deadline. Now, at the time I'm recording this, we got about 3 hours till the trade deadline actually hits. So something could happen, and if it does, then we'll adjust to that. And you never know, something could happen live. But as far as I'm concerned, this is what we got. So there's still Kevin Durant rumors up in the air and stuff like that. But I'm not totally convinced that something like that's going to happen. Now, listen. This is the last NBA podcast for a while, okay? I don't want this to become an NBA podcast. That's not my intention. But this is really important. It's important to me. It's important to a lot of people. And I want people to have their facts straight. I don't want there to be any bias. They're going to hear a lot of stuff from all sorts of sites on social media. And I just want to give you the facts and then talk about my opinion. So we're going to jump right in and talk about the most important trade to me. Maybe not to everybody, but to me, is the Quentin Grimes for Caleb Martin in a second-round pick trade that went down earlier this week. Obviously this doesn't warrant a whole video, but I thought this was pretty important to me. Quentin Grimes is really good. He's been, very important since, Luka's injury, and we've dealt with injuries. Kyrie was injured for a little bit. So for Dallas to lose a guy that has been so important as a perimeter guy, catch and shoot guy, perimeter defense, very good perimeter defender, and we trade him for Caleb Martin. Now I'm just going to read Caleb Martin's stats. 9 points per game, about 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Now I will give him he's a very good offensive rebounder, almost a 1.5 offensive rebounds a game. That's pretty good. But he's just not the player. This is Quentin Grimes' stats this season. 10 points a game, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and overall just a better shooter. However, when he's a starter, he averages 14, 4, and 3 on 49, 40, 73 splits. That's really great. 63 true shooting. Basically, for those who are not in the know about all the stats and whatnot, that's really good. And keep in mind, Caleb Martin has been a starter for almost all of his games this year for the 76ers. A bad Sixers team, man. It's not a good team. He's putting up empty numbers, and Quentin Grimes is putting up numbers in a competitive spot. He's helped Dallas stay in games, and I will say that obviously we haven't been great this year, but listen, I would be lying if I said that Quentin Grimes is not a huge loss, and I'm not happy that we lost him, especially for Caleb Martin, who is also not a good free throw shooter, noticeably. 62% from the free throw line. That's what I shot, I think, in high school. That's really bad. I'm going to be honest. That's not good, especially for a wing. Caleb Martin is a wing. He's a 3. He's probably, 6'7", I would say. He's about my height. He's 6'5". Okay, so a little shorter than me. So, I don't know. I don't know why this is a trade that happened. I don't know. I don't want to give it too much thought because I'm just going to make myself mad. But Quentin Grimes was a great player. I think Grimes is younger, too. As far as I'm concerned, I have his numbers pulled up because I just want to make sure I have all the numbers right. Yeah, Grimes is 24 and Caleb Martin's 29. I don't know what it is with Nico Harrison and trading mid-20s very talented players for older veterans, but I don't know. He loves doing that. And Grimes is another one where it's like he's on a good contract. Yeah, he's only making about $4 million a year. Now let's compare that to Caleb Martin, who is making about $8 million a year. So listen, that may not seem like a big difference, but during the offseason and stuff like that, that stuff adds up. Okay, that stuff is very important. You need to keep the salary low if you want to build your team up, and trading for a guy that's worse than Quentin Grimes. I'm sorry, he's worse. Who's also older and on a bigger contract makes no sense. I don't care if we had a second round pick. The amount of times that a second round pick does not turn to anything, more often than not, it often doesn't. And I'm sorry, the Dallas Mavericks do not have a great drafting history. We've seen many misses. Dennis Smith Jr. is one that comes to mind. Just a guy that had all the potential in the world and just wasn't good. And we do that a lot. We draft guys that don't become much. We had Josh Green. When we drafted him, I really liked him. I was pretty excited. I remember when we drafted him, I was like super excited. I was telling my dad, I'm like, this guy's like a great supporting guy for our team. And I'm not saying Josh Green isn't good, but I don't know. When Anthony Davis decides that he's healthy, it should be very interesting to see how this works out with Dallas. We might as well talk about the real trades that you guys are here for. I understand. I do. I guess we'll start with the Brandon Ingram trade, because I find this very, very interesting. So if you don't know, NBA All-Star Brandon Ingram has been traded from the New Orleans Pelicans to the Toronto Raptors for Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk, a first-round pick, and a second-round pick. I don't know the details of those picks. I don't know if there's any protections. There's probably a protection on them, considering how bad Toronto is. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't know of any restrictions or protections on any of those picks, so you never know. However, I don't like this trade for Toronto. I'm sorry. Toronto is 16 and 35? Yep, I'm right. 16 and 35. And Ingram's a very good player. He's very talented. I don't know why, and I feel like you're getting a lot of value for a guy that's missed a lot of games, though. I think he's very good when he's healthy, but when he's not, you're really in some hot water. I mean, if he's not playing, you're in trouble. This team is giving up draft picks when they're not competing anytime soon. This isn't a Kawhi Leonard move where you're trading for a superstar and you're competing right away. This is not that. Okay, I want to be very clear. This is not what that is. Ingram, again, only played 18 games this year, and we're 50 games in? Maybe a little more than that. That's not exactly what you want. We're about to head to the All-Star break, and you haven't even played 20 games yet. And to me, it makes no sense. I don't understand it. Also, I don't know. Ingram has been injured constantly. He hasn't played 80 games in his whole career. He has not played a full season of basketball. He's only played over 70 games one time, and he was a rookie. And he's a talented scorer, but he can't stay on the court. And so what is the point in trading for a guy when you already have so many guys who are similar in skill to him? I'm not saying they're as good. I think Ingram would probably be the second best player on this team when healthy. I think Scotty Barnes is overall a better player than Ingram. I don't think that's really that crazy to say. But you had a lot of guys who are forwards like him. You have Scotty Barnes, you have R.J. Barrett, Grady Dick, and I don't know. I don't know where he fits into this team. I don't know. Because you got a bunch of guys that are under 25, being Scotty Barnes, R.J. Barrett, Grady Dick. You had a bunch of younger guys, and then you slide Ingram in. Ingram's 27. He's not healthy. He's very good, but he's not a great defender, and your defense sucks. Toronto's one of the worst defenses in the league. They're not competing anytime soon. I don't know what this move is. There was I remember reading an article last night where there was a lot of competition. It was basically neck and neck between the Raptors and the Hawks. The Hawks too, huh? I don't know. That would be a good pickup for them. But again, this is like a Zion thing where Zion is extremely talented. I love Zion, one of my favorite players when he's healthy. But if he's not healthy, why are you trading for him? We could see a Zion trade today. I've heard talk from many sources that I trust that Zion is not completely off the table as far as trades go. It's unlikely, but it's possible. And I don't know. Maybe New Orleans just wants to reset. I get why New Orleans traded Ingram. Don't get me wrong. I totally understand. And they got not much back, but a first-round pick is pretty good from a pretty bad Toronto team. Toronto is notable for, at least for the last couple of years since Kawhi left, for just steeply declining. They were in the conference finals, they were in the semifinals after Kawhi left. They were a competitive team, and that team's gone. You had guys like Lowry and Van Vliet and Siakam and Valanciunas, but that team's gone. That team's not coming back. You had a bunch of young guys and some very talented. Scotty Barnes is awesome. I've watched a little bit of him, and I think he's very good. This is not a team that... and if you're a Raptors fan, I'd be pretty upset. You're going to have some cool highlights, and maybe you'll win next year when, assuming Ingram's healthy, maybe you'll win like 35 games, but for what? Like, I'm sorry, I don't know, like, there has to be something else that happens here for the Raptors. I'm not saying today, I'm saying in the offseason. Because trading away a first-round pick, I don't know what year it is. I'm going to be clear. I am reading my report right now, and maybe it'll come out later, the details, because this is from last night. This was like the last headline I saw before I went to bed. I got the notification last night around 11 o'clock midnight. I don't know, but on the New Orleans side of it, there's not much to say. I mean, we know they're blowing it up. They tried an experiment. They had a bunch of guys like bring in DeJounte Murray, see what he can do. You have a bunch of guys, and they made the big mistake of letting Dyson Daniels go. And Daniels has been insane. I love Daniels. Don't get me wrong. And I want to be very clear. I'm a huge fan of Dyson Daniels, and giving up for DeJounte Murray, who has not been that great, was a huge mistake. DeJounte Murray is currently leading Dyson Daniels is, I believe, currently leading the league in steals as like a second or third year guy, which, how often does that happen? Not very often. He's averaging like 3 steals a game, which is absurd. Not many guys that age can do that. Maybe Stockton and Magic did, but those are all-time greats. So, but not much to say as far as Brandon Ingram and the Raptors go. This is, to me, it's a nothing trade. I think we're overreacting with that trade. I don't understand what the hoopla is about. I don't. And we're going to talk about. Let me make sure I have it up here. Where is it? Okay. Jimmy Butler of the Golden State Warriors. I could not believe my eyes when I saw this. I was playing 2K last night, and I heard my phone go off, and all it said was Jimmy Butler traded the Warriors, and I just shook my head. And I'm like, I don't know why they did that. Now listen, if this was 3 or 4 years ago, I'd say this is great. This is awesome for Golden State. And they didn't trade away much. They didn't get rid of Kuminga. They kept most of their young guys. I don't think they traded Podziemski, did they? No. They didn't really trade anyone that's super notable. I mean, you could say Wiggins, but what is Wiggins? Has Wiggins been really doing much this year? I didn't even know he was in the league. But all joking aside, so the Warriors, just to be clear, I guess I didn't say the trade. If you're not up to date, this is about 8 p.m. last night. Golden State Warriors send Andrew Wiggins, Dennis Schroeder, Kyle Anderson, and a protected first-round pick to the Miami Heat for Jimmy Butler. And immediately after that, they extend Jimmy Butler for 2 more years, I believe. Yep, through 2027, for $121 million. First of all, what? Why is this the move? Listen, I really like Jimmy Butler. I've been a fan of his since when he went to Miami. I was even a fan on the Sixers. I don't like Philly. Everyone knows that. I'm very, very clear on that. I do not like Philly, but I like Butler because I thought he was very intense. I thought he was very talented, and I thought he was a no BS guy. But this whole Miami thing where he's being very picky and choosy about his team. And listen, I get it. He put a lot of hard work into bringing Miami to the finals 2 times, which is incredible. Just to be clear, in the Tatum era, the Celtics have been to the finals 2 times. And Butler has brought his Miami Heat to the finals 2 times. Just want to be clear on that, Celtics fans. So let me know how that makes any sense. Yeah, Jimmy Butler has played his heart out for the last couple of years, and listen, I understand. You want to get your value, but you're 35, bro. You're declining. You're not the same player. I'll pull up some stats real quick. First of all, his defense has gotten much worse. I don't really have stats to back that up because defense is very hard to track with stats. But just go watch some Miami games or from the past season, or just watch him when he's on Golden State. Well, eventually he will be. And granted, keep in mind he's only played 25 games this year. But those games have not been super pretty. This season, Jimmy Butler has averaged 17 points per game, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Maybe we'll say 5 assists. We'll round up. On 54, 36, 80 splits. So that's not bad. I won't lie, but compare that to just 2 years ago when he was in the MVP conversation for a little bit. He was All-NBA second team. 23 points per game, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, averaging almost 2 steals a game, and his defense was much better at that time. And at that time, he was also shooting way more. He was shooting about 3 more attempts per game. He shot 54% from the field, 35% from 3, and 85% from the free throw line. It's just a noticeable drop-off. Now, it'll be interesting to see how that works with Draymond. That's my problem with this trade. And again, I like Jimmy. I do. I think he's very talented. I think he's a very charismatic guy is the word I'm looking for. He's very charismatic. He clearly cares a lot about basketball. And but the thing with this is, obviously Curry is the greatest three-point shooter we've ever seen. I'm not arguing that. However, you put him on a team where I believe Kevon Looney is still their center, doesn't shoot the ball. Jimmy Butler is not a shooter, and Draymond Green is not a shooter. 3 non-shooters on the court in the big 2025 is not going to work. And listen, I would love to be wrong. I would be fine with it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Okay, sure. But I just don't see how that works. You need spacing in the modern NBA. This is not 1995. This is 2025. You can't have 3 guys on the court who cannot shoot threes. It's just how basketball is, and I'm sorry. And listen, and I know this is hard for maybe Warriors fans don't want to hear this, but I don't think this will work. And if it does, you don't have a lot of time. Jimmy's 35, Curry's in his mid-30s, Draymond's in his mid to late 30s. You don't have a lot of time with this team. So if you want to make a run, you got to go now. And keep in mind, think about who they're running to in the West. The Thunder, the Nuggets, the Wolves, even Dallas to an extent. Even the Lakers now, I guess I have to throw them in there. Those are 5 very talented teams. And I'm not saying the Warriors cannot beat them. I don't think the Warriors could beat OKC in a 7-game series. I don't think so. And I don't even think they can beat Denver in a 7-game series. But I think that this is very interesting. You do get it. Listen, it's not all bad. You get a shot creator in Jimmy. Jimmy can create his own shot. Andrew Wiggins couldn't do that. Whoever else they traded, Kyle Anderson and Dennis Schroeder, they can't do that. Come on. I don't even really think Kyle Anderson's all that great as far as offense goes. I think he's a very good defender and a rebounder. Offensively, he's kind of holding that team back a little bit. But I will say this. If you want the Jimmy Butler experience to work, this whole experiment they got going on, you need to go now. You do not have time to waste. Jimmy Butler is only going to get worse. This is just the reality of the NBA. Not everyone is LeBron. Not everyone is Kevin Durant. You cannot always beat Father Time. Jimmy Butler is 35 years old. He has much mileage on him. He's not like a 35-year-old who doesn't make the playoffs, so he gets a lot of rest. No. He's been going on deep playoff runs for the past 5 or 6 years. If you want to win with Jimmy Butler, Golden State, you must win now. And I don't know what that means for you, but you must make another trade as soon as possible before the deadline. You have about 3 hours until there are no longer any trades to be made. So if you want to compete this year, this team is not going to do it. If the West is too stacked. And if I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong, but I don't think I will. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Golden State. But there's still more trades to be talked about. I think that might have been the biggest one, but even still, that's not on the same level as even the De'Aaron Fox, Zach LaVine trade, because I think the De'Aaron trade and the Zach LaVine trade changes those teams for the next 10 years. With the Golden State trade, it kind of just affects them for maybe the next 3. Who knows when Curry's going to retire? I think he still has a couple years left on him. This isn't a Chris Paul situation where he's looking to get out pretty soon. I think Curry will know when he's done. And in my opinion, this is seriously what I think. I think that no matter how old you are, if you're still competing, you should be playing. But if you're not competing, don't play. That's why I'm not a fan of Kevin Durant right now. I mentioned this before. I have a friend who's a diehard Phoenix Suns fan, my friend Zach Finney. Shout out to him. He's listening right now. He tells me Durant kind of just goes through the motions. Yeah, he gets his buckets and whatever, but Curry and LeBron are here, and Durant's like here. Durant doesn't care about competing anymore, and we need to stop this. We need to stop pretending. And if I was Durant, I would just call it a career. You're not going to compete, and he didn't want to go to Golden State, and maybe that was his best chance to win. I mean, he has the chemistry. He has the history. That team could still win, but I don't think he cares. Truthfully. Now, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe he gets traded today, and he goes to, I don't know. I don't even know what other team wants him. Because he said he doesn't want to go to Golden State. So, I don't know. Miami's off the table because Jimmy Butler's gone. I don't know what the move is. And I think the only way that Phoenix team was going to change was if they did the Beal for Butler thing, but that's not happening anymore, obviously. I don't know who wants Beal. I don't know who can afford to get Durant. But you never know in this NBA. So something could happen and we could see both of them moved for all we know. But that's my whole Kevin Durant thing. I don't know. A couple more things. This was one of the most recent trades, other than I'm not including the Reggie Jackson to Washington. This trade's ridiculous, by the way. Reggie Jackson and a first, I believe it's unprotected, to the Wizards for Jared Butler in 4 seconds. Why are you trading first-round picks like they're nothing? This is why so many like good teams get better, because GMs are willing to just throw away first-round picks for nothing. Who's Jared Butler? Who? I thought this might have been a Jimmy Butler thing, and maybe it went back, and no. It's some guy named Jared Butler. And listen, no disrespect to you, Jared Butler, but a first-round pick? I'm sorry, like, I don't know why we're just throwing away picks like they're nothing. Second-round picks, fine, I don't care. Chances of those coming to anything are very low. But a first? Come on. What are we doing here, guys? Now, this is from Brian Windhorst this morning. I don't know if I'm mispronouncing that. It's the big white guy who's like in memes for some reason. I don't know. I don't find it particularly funny. Either way, Windhorst said the Warriors have multiple expiring contracts to deal and could be looking for a big man who can shoot like the Chicago Bulls' Nikola Vucevic. I find that very stupid. And I know I was singing Vucevic's praises not too long ago. Why? Like, you already have Curry, who doesn't really play defense, and he can't. He's older. It's not the same. Butler, whose defense has gotten worse. And now you're going to trade for a big man whose defense is not good because he's slow. And I want to be very clear. I know I was talking how very good Vucevic is. He's kind of a revival. Offensively, though. Not defensively. Offensively, I think this works. This is awesome. And maybe I'm wrong, and maybe Vucevic sets his team over the edge, but this is a trade the Warriors would need to do, and if you need to do it, you need to do it, because Valanciunas is no longer on the table. We'll talk about that in a second, but Valanciunas is not on the table anymore. So the Warriors need to trade for a big man. Again, Kevon Looney is not your answer. I know they won with him. I get it, but this is not a team that can win, and this isn't 2022 anymore. Curry's not as, and I'm not saying Curry's bad, because Curry's still very talented, but he's just not the same player. And you don't have Clay, and you don't have Jordan Poole. As weird as that is to say, he was very good in those playoffs. If you don't remember, go watch some games. He was weirdly good, and he was never good again. I think Draymond Green punched the talent out of him. Honestly, I do. Hey, Jordan Poole, if you want to be on the podcast, let me know. Give me a call. This will be interesting. If this happens, I'm going to refresh just in case I miss something, because I don't want to miss anything. You never know. What? Okay, this is from like 20 minutes ago. The Toronto Raptors are trading Davion Mitchell to the Miami Heat for PJ Tucker in a second. I just want to make sure this is like the right PJ Tucker, and this is not some. Is this 39? Wow. What? This can't be true. I'm sorry, this is breaking news. I'm just finding out about this now. Holy cow. This is really going on. Oh my god. Yeah. PJ Tucker, who's 39, has not played any minutes this season, has just gotten traded for Davion Mitchell, a 26-year-old point guard from the Toronto Raptors. I don't know. What is Toronto doing? Listen, this is immediate reactions. I haven't thought about this for even more than 3 seconds, but why? PJ Tucker is on his career deathbed, essentially. He's 39, he's going to be 40. He hasn't played at all this year. So you can get cash? Because you get cash and a second-round pick? And PJ, okay. Are you trying to tell me a 26-year-old point guard who is not awful? Hold on. I'm sorry. This is brand new. I want to see his stats as a starter. Can I see that? Yeah. Okay. His stats as a starter. This is Davion Mitchell, by the way. 8 points a game, 2 rebounds, 6 assists. 47% from the field, 38% from three. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. It's on about 3 attempts a game. Okay. 74% from the line. That's not bad numbers. And again, you could argue that. Actually, I don't know what you would argue. He's not even worth like a first. Like, I know I was just talking about how we gotta stop throwing away first, but that's my point. You can't convince a team to get you a first. I mean, I understand why. I totally get why Miami is doing that. It's Miami, right? Yeah, it's Miami. Okay, I just want to be clear. Yeah, Miami. I understand why Miami is doing that. It's a good pickup. I mean, they're clearly going to rebuild, or maybe just retool. You still have Butler and Hero and Robinson and I guess Kevin Love. I mean, I don't know. Kevin Love's, America's favorite comedian now. I'm gonna be honest. I don't find what he's posting particularly funny. Maybe I'm just being cruel to him. And I actually like Kevin Love. I actually don't mind him. I think he's a funny guy. And he's pretty cool, honestly, for all of the stuff he's done off the court. I think he's trying a little too hard. And I think we're just kind of letting him sucker us. Anyway, I understand why Miami's doing that. Davion Mitchell's a pretty good point guard from what I've read. Again, I'm going to be very clear. I haven't watched a lot of Toronto games this year. I watch a lot of teams. It's hard to watch Toronto. Come on. Listen, I could pirate, but I'm not going to. I don't need to see Toronto that bad. They're like 13th in the East. I don't need to watch the Toronto game that bad. But so I can't say if he's really that good, but based on the stats, he doesn't look bad. And PJ Tucker has not played 1 minute this season, and he's 40. I don't know. Maybe players aren't worth as much as they thought. Or maybe they are because I'm going crazy. I don't know. Let's get back to the real trades. This happened at midnight. I was already asleep when this trade happened. I woke up to it. This was a very interesting one. The Los Angeles Lakers, they're making another trade. Good for them. Dalton Connect. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I like him, the white kid from the Lakers. I don't know. Cam Reddish, an unprotected first-round pick in 2031. Excuse 2031, wow. It's crazy. A pick swap in 2034. The Charlotte Hornets center, Mark Williams. I actually like Mark Williams. Now, let me talk you into Mark Williams if you're a Lakers fan and you don't know anything about him because you don't watch Charlotte Hornets games. I understand why. They're not good. Mark Williams has been very good, though. How old is he? He's 23. He's on a rookie contract still. He's an athletic big man. He can rebound very well. He's strong. He's athletic. He can jump through the fucking roof. He can finish at the rim strong. He's averaging 3 offensive rebounds per night. He's missed a little bit of time. And that's the one questionable thing. He's only played 23 games this year. Again, we're 50 games in. He's missed half of his games. But, again, when he does play, he's a great offensive rebounder. He's a great lob threat. And when you have Luka and LeBron, that's what you need. Now, the problem is he doesn't shoot the ball very well. The injury stuff is questionable. He's not a great passer for a big man. And, again, when you're a big man on a competing team, you don't need to be a great passer, but it definitely helps. But you do have 2 top 10 playmakers of all time on your team, by the way. So I think you'll be okay. Again, he doesn't shoot the ball, but he's a strong finisher at the rim. Again, a great lob threat. Can set really strong screens. With Luka, Luka loves his pick and rolls and lobs and screen and ball screens and all that. He's going to fit right in with LA if he is healthy. Now, I know that's a question with a lot of players. Obviously you can say, if they're healthy, but this is a real question. When you're 23 and you're already missing a lot of games, it can cause some worry. And the Lakers gave up a lot because Dalton is pretty good. I know he was America's favorite white boy for the first 3 weeks of the season. And I don't know what happened. I mean, maybe Reeves is just much better. I think he is, but maybe that's why. Cam Reddish, who's really kind of silent. Can I just talk about Cam Reddish for 1 second? I know I get off track a lot, but I really liked Cam Reddish when he was coming to the NBA. He was on the Hawks, and the Hawks were kind of good, and they made the conference finals, and they were like, okay, maybe this is a real team for the future. And, I hated it as a Dallas fan that the Hawks were in the conference finals, and they were, 3 games away from being in the finals? I hated that. But regardless, Reddish should have been really good. I don't know what happened. My whole thing is you're trading 2 firsts. One of them unprotected. Now, granted, the Lakers will probably be good in 2031. Or is that, wait. Yeah, 2031 is when it's unprotected. So they'll probably be good in 2031. That's about 6 years away. Luka will be 31. he's probably going to age well because he's not athletic based. Usually, if you're a player that's not super athletically based, you'll play for a long time. Think about guys like Stockton, Stockton was not a very athletically focused player. I mean, he was quick, but he wasn't like, jumping through the roof and dunking the ball. He played for 20 years. Steve Nash played for a long time until his back gave out, and he's quick. Again, he's quick, but a better example would probably be Kyle Lowry as far as archetype goes. As far as like physical build, Lowry is a thicker guard, similar to Luka in that sense. And I think that Luka will age very well, and he'll probably play till his mid to late 30s. And so he's got another at least 12 years, I think, in him. He's 25, by the way. Yeah. So Mark Williams. That might be a little bit of an overpay as far as I'm concerned right now, but I do like Mark Williams. And again, I haven't watched the most amount of Charlotte Hornets, so I won't act like I'm an expert on Mark Williams. I don't know the ins and outs. I don't know the advanced numbers. I advise you to do your own research before making any opinions on these trades. Any of them, not even just this one, any trades. But I think this is a positive move. This is not a lateral move, because we're going to get to a lateral move. This is not a lateral move for the Lakers. This is a very good move. And you fill the hole at your 5 if he's healthy. Again, he's not an older big man, so it's a little worrying that he's missing time. I'm sorry. I'm talking a lot. I've never been this fired up in a long time. Since like Monday. But either way, I think this is a good move. I do. And I think that Lakers fans are going to really enjoy it. Mark Williams is very good. The question in my mind is, why did Charlotte give him up? Like, and Charlotte's not good, and I'm not going to say that, and I'm not particularly a fan of their team, especially I'm not a huge LaMelo guy, but Mark Williams is one of the best parts of their team, and you just give him up like that. And maybe you think that the picks will pan out. Maybe you think that they won't be good in 2030 and 2031, and maybe you're like, oh, okay, we'll do this. I'm not sure. I don't know. We'll see what happens, I guess. I mean, I'm not 100% sure. This is such a new trade that I haven't even had a lot of time to process it. It's about noon right now, so it happened about 12 hours ago, and I'm still processing it because I woke up like 2 hours ago. So, we'll see what happens. Now, we're going to get into 2 trades that don't make any sense to me at all. Both of them are pretty lateral movement trades where I'm just going to refresh one more time just to double check. I don't want to miss anything. Okay, yeah, we're still up to date, ladies and gentlemen. But 2 trades that are kind of confusing to me about why either team does it. I'll start with the one that I don't like the most. This was about 5 p.m. yesterday. The Washington Wizards trade Jonas Valanciunas, who people were acting like he was super good, and he's coming off the bench, to the Sacramento Kings for, I might butcher this, I'm sorry, Sidi Sissoko. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. In 2 seconds. Now, Valanciunas, again, he has not started most of the year. He's only started 12 games. He's a good big man. 11 points. 8 rebounds a game, about 2.5 offensive rebounds. He lost his jumper. He used to have a solid, passable jumper where you kind of had to contest him. You couldn't leave him wide open all the time. He still has good touch around the rim. He has a little bit of finesse, but he's on the Wizards, so it's like, who knows? Who knows? We could just be blowing smoke about Jonas Valanciunas. Now, my question is, why did the Kings do this? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it was just like such a good value. You had to pick him up, and maybe you flip him again in the offseason. You're like, okay, we'll see what we can get. Maybe we can get a first-round pick of this guy. I don't think that's impossible. I think you could sell a team who's boneheaded enough to do that. I think that's not impossible. But I mean, I was kind of convinced that they were looking to just totally rebuild, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know why we're doing this. If I'm the Kings, I mean, I don't know. Again, maybe I'm giving Valanciunas too much credit here. Maybe I still think it's 2019, but also, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this trade. Really, I really don't. On the Wizards side, it's like you couldn't have gotten anything else for like what were the Lakers offering that wasn't good enough? Or did you just not want to trade with the Lakers? I don't know. They got Mark Williams, who's much better. So I don't know. I think the Lakers are fine. I think the Lakers are maybe the biggest winner of this day. I do. I would say they probably are. But Valanciunas, I don't know. It's a very confusing trade to me. Valanciunas also 32. He'll probably play a couple more years. I'm not saying that he's too old. I just don't think that. I think the Wizards could have got more out of him, and I don't know why the Kings did it. For all I was concerned with, they were trying to rebuild and they're trying to trade their older guys to get younger guys, and not the other way around. But we'll see. I think that's kind of lateral trade. I don't think that makes the Kings that much better. They're not going to compete, but that might make them too good, so they're not getting a good pick. I don't know what the thought process is there. I don't. But I don't know. Now let's talk about the trade that is so funny. And I'm sorry. I've just been seeing people call this the new big three of the NBA. Let me make sure. Where is this trade? I'm sorry. Where is this trade? Oh, here we go. This is yesterday at 10 a.m. This is a kind of an older trade. This is over a day ago now. The Milwaukee Bucks are trading Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson, and a pick swap and a pick. Can you believe that? To the Wizards for Kyle Kuzma, Patrick Baldwin Jr., and a second-round pick. Or at least one. We don't know exactly how many, I guess. And I think there's another little wrinkle to this trade. And, okay, yeah, the New York Knicks are trading backup center Jericho Sims to the Bucks as part of this deal, and the Knicks will receive DeLon Wright and cash. So there's kind of a lot to unpack with this one. This will probably be the last trade as far as I'm concerned. I mean, we can talk a little bit more about Durant, I guess, but I don't think anyone wants to do that. I don't even want to. So let's talk about the Wizards side of this. They already said they don't want to flip Chris Middleton, before the deadline at least. So they're not looking to get him out of there now. They're just looking to, I guess, keep him and still be the last seed in the East. I don't know. I don't really know what they're doing. But I want to be clear. I think a lot of people are super confused because I think it's still Middleton from 2019 or 2021, I guess, whatever. Middleton's stats this year. He's missed a lot of games. He's missed 23 games. He's coming off the bench. He's only started 7 games when he has played. And in those games, he's averaged 12.5 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. 4 assists. Excuse me. And he's not shooting as much. He's not even taking 10 shots a game. This is not the Middleton we know. This is a different sort of player. I just want to look at his numbers as a starter. Those numbers in 7 games: 16 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists on 51, 45, 90 splits. That's really good. But again, he's constantly hurt. Is he hurt right now? Okay. He has a minor ankle injury, but still. Listen. This is not as much of a robbery as I think Bucks fans think it is, but it's still a bad trade because you trade for Kyle Kuzma, who's awful. And everyone has seen the lowlights. He's airballing threes. He's shooting 20% from 3 or something ridiculous. But he has the green light on a bad team, so nobody cares really. I mean, what are they going to do? Bench him? I mean, they're trying to lose anyway. They might as well keep him in. Kuzma is not going to help this team get over the hump. I don't really know what the thought process is because it's not like Kuzma's super young. Kuzma's 29. He's almost 30, which is crazy to me. You could say, he's averaging 15 a game. He's taking 14 shots a game, and he's only averaging 15 points. I'm sorry, that's not great. 28% from 3. 60% from the free throw line. That's bad. That's bad. That's awful. Again, I shot that in high school. I shot around there. He's not a particularly good defender or playmaker. He almost averages more turnovers than assists. I don't know. I don't really know what the move is. Also, his style sense is terrible. He has awful clothing. Just want to say that because I don't know. I'm rude, I guess. I don't know. So why did the Bucks couldn't get anything else from Middleton? I get you want to trade him. I understand. I totally understand that. Want to get rid of him. But there was nobody else on the market you could have got. Like, and I don't think this would have really happened, but did you even call up Miami? I guess Jimmy didn't want to really go to Milwaukee though. I guess not. Or did you call Phoenix? Not about Durant, but about like Beal or something. I don't know. Like, I'm just trying to think. Because the Bucks, I mean, Middleton can create his own shot. I mean, not to the same level anymore, but he could. When he's healthy, he can space the floor. Kuzma can't do either of those things. And they're both similar levels of defense, I think. I don't. Maybe Middleton's a little bit better, but I don't think it's a very big difference. And then you have the whole wrinkle of Jericho Sims for DeLon Wright, which I think is kind of nothing. I mean, I don't know why. I thought a Mitchell Robinson trade might have happened by now with the Knicks. I mean, the Knicks kind of need something to like rev up their team a little bit. I mean, they've lost some pretty easy games recently, and the Knicks are not like bad. Like, they're still like top 5 in the East as far as I'm concerned. I'm pretty sure they're still playing pretty well. Yeah, they're third by like 6 games. They're third in the East by 6 games. They're fine, but I'm just saying, like, maybe you need a trade to get over the hump. I don't know. It's certainly an interesting time we're living in to be an NBA fan. I don't think any last-second trades are going to happen. That's kind of why I waited till almost the deadline, but not quite. Just to double check, and I refreshed again, and nothing has happened as of 12:15 p.m. on February the 6th. So, as far as I'm concerned, we will be getting no more trades. Again, I'm just scrolling down the list. I don't want to miss anything. I do not want to miss anything. I think that we're all set. And I think I just want to say a couple of things. What to expect from the next 2.5 hours, give or take. Obviously, this post won't go up till probably after the deadline is done. But I assume there will be no Beal trade at this point. I assume there will be no Durant trade, but I don't know for sure. But I don't think there will be a Beal trade. I think they've already mentioned a couple times that there's no talk of a Beal trade. He has a no trade clause. He's not that good. His contract's really big. He's kind of washed up as far as what he once was. He was once, I believe, All NBA third team and the league's leading scorer at one point. And he's not that anymore. And the Suns made a fantastic blunder by putting this team together, by the way. I thought, even at the time, I knew this wasn't going to work, and it hasn't. I don't think they've won a playoff series with those guys at all. So, yeah, I don't think there's any major moves going to happen as far as I'm concerned. I mean, there was a little bit of talk about a LeBron thing, but I don't think that's anything would ever result with that. I don't think LeBron's ever going to get traded. Unless by his own will. But I think that's basically all I have for today, for you guys. Again, next episode, hopefully, I will not have to make another NBA episode unless I have to make another emergency podcast if something happens in the next 2.5 hours. But I really hope not, because I don't want this to be just an NBA thing. But it's. Oh, I guess we could talk about the Celtics trading Jaden Springer for 2 seconds. If you guys are interested in that, they did that. Celtics made a trade. So yeah. But all jokes aside, that is all I have for you guys today. It's been a lot of fun. This trade deadline has been, it's hurt me a lot as a Dallas fan because we've made 2 really poor decisions for our future. But it's been entertaining, to say the least. But I have been your host, Connor Lewis. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.